We're live.
Hello, yes we are. Welcome back to Book Chats with Mostly Books. I'm Jody.
I'm Jen.
And as always, we are recording this ourselves, so all comments will be addressed at the end of filming, but please leave your comments because we like to hear them. You know, I was also wondering if we want them to give us suggestions. Do we want suggestions?
We can take, or like recommendations.
Oh, good.
How about this isn't the Blood Pact?
Right.
Yeah.
So if you ever find a book that you're like, you guys should read, you should definitely recommend it, and we will take a look at it and see what we think. All right. At any rate, this week we are reading These Witches Don't Burn by Isabel Sterling. It is... Well, why don't you just give us a synopsis?
I was waiting for it. I was like, I do the synopsis every week. Am I going to do this
You're
one
doing
too?
it so good.
So Hannah is an elemental witch. She and her parents are witches, and their coven is in Salem.
Of course.
Of course it is.
Where else would you be located?
And she and her ex have just broken up, and it's messy. And Veronica won't leave her alone.
It's so messy.
It's so messy. And then there's a party. Summer is starting, and they find a burning pentagram in the woods and a sacrificed raccoon. And then everything kicks off. Is there a blood witch in town who can control people? Is there something more sinister in town? Who can Hannah trust? And the only person seems to be able to help her is Veronica.
Her lovely ex.
And even that gets complicated because a cute new girl moves to town, and Hannah has to balance dating, dealing with her ex, and figuring out what's going on in town.
If it's even something that's involving witches, or is it just some...
Or is it just kids playing
rag guy
pranks?
doing something? Rag, that's
Rag,
the term.
yeah. That's a technical term.
Right. For, I'm assuming, regular person.
Yeah, so a non-magical person.
So, yeah, what'd you think?
I liked it. It was cute. It was lighter in tone than some of the things we've been reading, which I think we needed that change of pace.
I so needed that change of pace. I really liked that it was a lighter read.
Yeah, and this was your pick. So how'd you feel about it?
I liked it. Yeah, these were the elemental style witches that I was expecting more so than our elemental necromancy from the before.
From the Bone Witch?
Yeah, again, the rune thing was different. It was good.
There's runes
not
in here
what
too.
I expected. Yes, but it wasn't with your elemental witches.
Yeah.
It was with your blood witches, which makes more sense to me because your elemental should be able, again, to just pull it from within themselves and make your fire or whatever do what they would like.
I just realized your shirt matches your book.
I coordinated. So no, I really liked it. I thought the pace was really good. I liked the characters. I have mixed feelings on part of the end, which we will get to later. But this was good. This was a great kickoff to June, which has been a rough month already.
Yeah.
So I needed this.
Yeah. And we had picked this because Pride Month had started, and then now we've adjusted some of our future reading list.
Yes, we have, but it's still all Pride related as well as other related.
Yeah.
But yes.
So it's good.
What was your initial thoughts on Hannah when you first met her?
When I first met her, when did we first meet her? Oh, was she working in our first scene? Maybe. I liked Hannah. I was trying to say, I was like, when I first meet her, or just like, yeah, I liked Hannah. I liked that she stuck up for herself with Veronica.
Yeah.
Because, like, you kind of catch on to all of Veronica's manipulations, too. Because even in the beginning, you don't really know either of them. So you're like, oh, okay, how much of you do I believe? But then it goes on, you see that Hannah is being manipulated. And, like, kind of jerked around. But she sticks up for herself. And it's like,
I liked that, too. Yeah, she didn't second guess herself. She was like, nope. I'm done. This is not healthy. It was not a healthy... It was a very toxic relationship. Yeah, I really liked Hannah as well. I will say, unrelated, but initially when you're thrown into this book, in some ways I almost felt like I missed a book. Like, I actually went and had to look it up to make sure... Because I knew this was a first, but it didn't feel like it because you're put into this situation where they keep referencing something in the past.
I do want to talk about that too.
Yeah. And so that part was a little weird for me in the beginning. It was hard to get around.
Yeah, even kind of throughout the book, I didn't feel like we got the whole story on that.
I don't think we did. I have to go read the novella because I was like, well, what?
Yeah, like you get enough to like know what happened and I guess like what the outcomes of it are, but not enough to be like, okay, this isn't related to what we're dealing with now. Like there's still always that kind of suspicion in my head.
Right, which I think was deliberate. I think that was always the intention, was to make it seem like maybe some other things were happening than what was happening. But that part, I don't know, felt confusing.
Yeah.
I really kept thinking, is this a second book?
Yeah, or it's like, is there something we're missing? Is it going to come back? I wonder if it's going to show up in the second one now. Maybe they go back to New York.
Well, it's a whole novella.
Oh, yeah.
That whole part is, it's a prequel.
Huh.
It's 0.5. So I'm not sure that you'll get much more of it in the second one.
Because we have the whole other plot going on.
Right, because now we're moving on in the second one. And moving on and moving forward for vengeance. So I don't know if you will.
Yeah.
But we'll maybe come back to that, because I feel like it maybe has some spoilers in it that we don't want to talk about so much. Okay, what did you think about the other characters, like Gemma and Cal and Morgan?
I like that a lot of our main cast are queer, or is queer.
Is queer, I think.
Of different identities. So we got like a lot of range in our characters, even as they kind of fall into stereotypes of, like, even on the book.
Yeah.
Cover. The teen witch, the hot ex, the new crush, the best friend. So has like high school stereotypes or caricatures. I don't know.
Archetypes. Characters, maybe, yeah.
There's lots of words. But then we also got in their characters a wide range of personalities. And I really liked how distinct they all were.
I did too. And I really like how you said there were several. It wasn't just a few queer characters. I mean, most of your cast was. And I really appreciated that. Like, I kind of appreciated we kind of really had a token straight person as opposed to the other way around. Yeah. It was really a refreshing read for that.
But there's even in, like, the background, Hannah is near the museum. She's spying on a fellow classmate, but that's unrelated to this. But she sees, like, two dads and their son. And it was just, like, really sweet that it's in your background, but also the forefront of your main cast.
Yeah, I mean, it was everywhere. In her coven, like you said there, her friends. Yeah, I liked it a lot in that sense.
Yeah.
I think I liked all of the characters, which made me sort of upset in the end, because I liked one of them that maybe I shouldn't have been liking. But he seemed like he was sticking up for her.
He didn't really give you a reason to dislike him.
Well, and he just was so much better than the alternative of the other guy, I guess. And maybe that's why we liked him, when you paralleled him to the other guy that was kind of a jerk.
Yeah.
So he was the better of the two evils, maybe? I just didn't realize it was an evil.
He's the better actor of the two evils.
Yeah, because he was definitely more evil than the other one. Yes, thank you. That was a good clarification. Okay. What do you want to talk about before we get too spoilery? Because this one, there's a lot of action and a lot of things happen, and I think we need to just say spoilers when we start talking about all that, because I think it's going to happen fast.
I like that Hannah had, like, a best friend who she was really close with, and there wasn't a lot of, like, secret keeping between the best friends, or that, like, her parents, and she has, like, family that are there for her, and like sometimes she, like, disagrees with, but she still has this, like, support system outside of, like, her adventuring. Yeah.
And I liked that we got both family as well as found family.
Yeah.
I liked that part a lot as well. Yeah, it was good. I also really liked that it's contemporary time, but still paranormal with the witches.
Yeah.
I always find that fun. It was really reminiscent to me of Charmed, which I don't think you said you watched.
I didn't.
But yeah, if you're fans of Charmed, this would be a good probably pick to read. It felt like that in many ways, because they just went off and did the same thing. Kept sleuthing. We'll go with that.
Yeah, there's a lot of sleuthing going on. So I liked how the plot kind of played out, because there's at times where I thought it I couldn't tell if something was the part of the main plot we were investigating, or if it was just like other teenagers pulling pranks or having their own vendettas work out.
Yeah, I kind of had that same feeling, which was true, I think, to an extent. There were definitely some vendettas being worked out that were unrelated to the greater issue at hand.
Unrelated to the magical plot.
Yeah, there you go. I liked Salem. I think that was fun to be set there. Yeah. And I liked that they kept talking about all like the touristy stuff, even where she worked. It was such a cliche Wicca store. Yeah. And she dresses that. Like, yeah, I know.
She was like, yeah.
Except that I loved the owner. I thought she was great.
I hope we see more of her in the second book.
Me too. And me too. I also like that there are different types of witchcraft in this, and that she was very respectful of all types. So, like, her boss was a Wicca, but which has abilities, but not the extent to her abilities. And I liked that she didn't like belittle her. I guess she was very welcoming to everyone. I liked that.
I did too. It was, and like, when the plot kind of like throws suspicion on Lauren, her boss, at one point, and I'm like, no, please, no. And I'm like,
no way.
I'm like, not her. I like her.
Me too. She was such a kind soul. She makes it.
Yeah,
that's not a spoiler.
That's not a spoiler. Do we want to talk about spoilers?
Yeah, I feel like at this point we should just dive in.
Okay.
Spoilers from here. So, what did you think of the whole it's a blood witch situation, and then finding out it's not a blood witch?
I thought that was interesting. Like, now it's clearly a red herring, but when I was reading it, they were like, it's not a blood witch, it's not a blood witch. And I was like, well, something's going on, so are you guys, like, not seeing it? I like that it's a witch hunter and not a blood witch.
Me too. Which made more sense too.
Yeah, and it like kind of challenges like Hannah's notions of that all blood witches are evil. So I liked that bit of it. I still think we haven't dealt with her whole trauma surrounding blood witches, so I wonder if we could deal with that more.
I think that's absolutely true in the sense that, the big trauma for her was that she went to Manhattan and is attacked by a blood witch who was in a feud with caster witches. Yeah. So we have 3 types of witches. We have blood witches, casters, and we have our elementals from the 3 goddesses that made the witches. So the blood witch and the casters were feuding, and Hannah just happened to show up with Veronica.
Yeah, and Veronica's like helping the caster witches out to like make a binding to put on the blood witch.
Because they've always been told the blood witches are bad.
Yeah.
So therefore we have to bind her, even though we don't know her.
Yeah, and then Hannah kind of gets caught in the middle of it.
Yeah.
And then the blood witch gets a hold of her blood and kind of like controls her.
And in the blood witch's defense, she was defending herself because Hannah was holding her hostage for the casters and Veronica while they finished making the spell.
Yeah.
So she was probably just trying to escape and was doing what they're trained to do.
And
which was what Hannah's trained to do.
Yeah, and then Hannah's like, oh, she said next time I see you, I'm going to kill you. And that's why Hannah is thinking, when she sees the sacrificed raccoon, there's blood, oh no.
It's my blood witch.
She's out to get me.
In Hannah's defense, this was incredibly traumatizing, and Veronica was incredibly unhelpful and insensitive. So I can see why Hannah's first guess would be blood witch, but I was really happy to see that towards the end of the story that kind of got flipped on its end, and blood witches aren't the evil boogeyman that you're led to believe.
Yeah, that's the word I was thinking of, because it does feel like she's kind of like chasing shadows for a little while.
Yeah.
And then it kind of like gets revealed like, oh no, there's a much more serious plot going on.
And even at one point I was like, is it really a blood witch? Because no one else in the coven thinks it's this. So that was interesting, because obviously they knew the new blood witch family had moved in, but it was not that family doing this.
Yeah. Did they know?
Yeah, they had to petition the coven.
Oh yeah, they did.
So I'm sure that her grandmother knew.
That's why she kept being
like, yeah, that's why she's like, it's not a blood witch.
She couldn't have said that.
Right, but I think that was for the safety of their family, because there was such a stigma around them, which was created by her grandmother. I mean, was continuing that stigma. So that was interesting. So should we say who the other blood witch is, though, that we like?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Do you want to say it or do you want me to say it?
No, you can say it.
Our new crush is a blood witch with blood red hair. Not really blood red. It's not that. She's a ginger.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Morgan is friends with Gemma. And they're both dancers. And then
she's new in town.
Yeah, she's new in town. They go to this party. And Gemma is playing matchmaker very much and sets up Morgan and Hannah, and they hit it off. Mm-hmm. And they're really sweet, and they have some missteps. Hannah runs out of their first date halfway through.
High school dating, you're gonna
to go check on her ex.
She was being attacked. It wasn't like she's hung up on her ex.
No, but it looks bad.
It looked really bad.
And I saw it coming. I'm like, oh no, I know how this looks like.
Yeah.
But anyway, they work it out. It's fine. Hannah's dad is in the hospital, and then that's when as you put it, the coming out is that Morgan is a blood witch.
Well, and the coming out was also
being
an elemental, just being a witch.
Like Gemma.
Yeah. Our token muggle, as she calls herself, which was my favorite phrase ever.
Also kind of our token straight.
Yeah, Gemma's both of those, yes. But the big coming out was definitely, I think, her coming out as a witch. And how are you going to handle this? Oh my gosh, I'm not allowed to tell anyone this secret.
Yeah.
But yes, so Morgan's our blood witch who's running from a witch hunter in Minnesota, Duluth.
Yeah,
that's Minnesota.
I was like, I don't know, that's Midwest.
So it was nice to meet Morgan and find out that they do more than just control people. Mm-hmm. They also can heal people.
Yeah,
and themselves.
Yeah, their magic's more inward turned. So she's more coordinated and agile. So that makes sense that she's a dancer.
Oh yeah,
and I think. And she uses it to help calm Hannah down at one point, helps her with her breathing.
Mm-hmm. And then she Mm-hmm. But her father is still in the hospital. Yes. And we don't know why. Well, we know it's a witch hunter. We just don't know who the witch hunter is.
Because her house burned down and he got trapped.
But the only way you could burn an elemental is if you knock him out. I mean, that made sense.
Yeah.
Sadly. So yeah, shall we just get right to who it is? I think you need to say it. I was still bummed.
It's Benton. It's her art class friend.
Yeah, the guy that was her buddy. Okay, I will agree with you when you said it was pretty obvious when he forgot she was gay and was hitting on her. That should have been the red flag. But it took me much longer because he seemed like a nice guy. Even when I saw how rich he was, I kind of hung on until when he bought the broken stuff at the cauldron.
Oh, yeah, the shattered crystal balls.
Yeah, I don't know why then at that moment I was like, don't be you, but it's going to be you.
Well, he has that moment of Lauren offers him a tarot reading, and then he's like, oh, no, and it's just
what's shady in your future and past that you don't want to do a reading.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I did or didn't I'm not sure how to phrase that he takes Hannah and Veronica and puts them on a pyre to burn them.
Yeah, it's a stake. He ties them to a stake.
I thought that was a very appropriate, these witches don't burn and we're in Salem.
Yeah.
And so we're going to burn them. Yeah. But he doesn't. It's all fine in that sense.
The plot of what he's actually trying to do, I'm that's creepy. That
was horrible.
Ugh.
That part was also interesting where he's trying to fix them because they're sick. And that part are you talking about?
Yeah.
That whole mentality?
Does that sound like an allegory for conversion therapy?
Yes.
Okay.
That's where I was exactly where I was headed. I'm like, oh, I see that. Uh-huh. And it's so bad on all ends and they're not sick. I don't know. And she says that. I mean, but they came up with a drug that suppresses her magic.
And it lasted a long time.
5+ days because she was just starting to get it back.
Yeah.
And he kills her dad. And that part really upset me when the dad died. I didn't know if that was necessary. Because I already felt very invested, and I felt like Hannah was very invested on finding out these witch hunters already. I know you felt differently.
Yeah, I still was, like, enjoying reading it, and, like, I was going to finish the whole book. But it felt like it picked up for me when her dad died, that, like, the seriousness of it all set in more, so it wasn't just, like, a cute... That's not even fair to the book. It
was definitely lighter up until that point. I mean, the stakes were high, but they were much higher once her dad died, I think.
Yeah, because it's like she has the whole coven around her and her whole family, so there's not as much, like, isolation of our main characters maybe you get in other fantasy stories. So then it's like there's a safety net to kind of, like, protect her, but then, like, when her dad dies, it's kind of like even that safety net is, like, under threat now. So maybe that's why it felt like it picked up for me when her dad died.
Yeah. Well, and I also feel like that was the only moment that it became real to everyone. And so maybe that translated to as the reader, because you're realizing, like, you're seeing it now from all the characters.
Yeah.
Not like, you know, Hannah obviously always thought it was real, but it seemed like a lot of the other people in the coven did not, and maybe you're picking that up. And then it became...
Well, because everyone's like, it's not a blood witch, Hannah. Yeah. It's not a blood witch. You need to stop.
Yeah, you're going to be that boy who called wolf too many times.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that part just made me sad, and I think it's just partly this week, too. It just hit differently. So I was pretty sad about that part. It was pretty heartbreaking. I mean, it was still a really good book. Definitely read it.
Yeah.
I'm super excited for the sequel. I might have to read that tonight. I'm kind of hoping it's not just a sequel. I know it's being advertised as only a sequel, which makes me think there might not be more books. But I think they could do a lot with this series and these characters.
Yeah, especially in this world, because there's, like, a lot of it set up that you could go other places.
Yeah, I mean, we have 3 different type of witches we can go explore. So I guess it doesn't have to be Hannah all the time, but this world, I would like more. For sure.
Yeah, there's a girl with pink hair on the cover of this one.
We meet someone new.
Do we meet someone new?
Maybe she's a caster, because, you know, they were pretty underrepresented in this book.
We have one main caster running, a couple main around.
He was kind of a creeper, though.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about him.
I did not feel great.
I guess we're going to talk about Archer now.
Let's talk about Archer, the detective, who I feel like we were definitely led up to thinking it was him as the either blood witch or witch hunter. He was new in town as well.
Yeah.
And it could only be someone new in town, which was funny because it wasn't.
Well, wasn't he kind of new in town?
He'd only been there a month.
No, Benton.
He's been there a whole school year, though. At least. But it seems like he'd been there longer because he had these epic pool parties.
Oh,
and they referenced that as, like, a previous year.
Oh, so he'd been there a while.
Maybe. So he really, like, was there for a while. But he was feeling the pressure from his witch hunter parents to kill his first witch.
Yeah.
So he could get his portrait finally painted.
Oh, yeah, because there was Hannah sees, like, his family portrait in his house, and she's like, why don't you have one? And he's like, oh, I'll get mine when I do something significant.
Whatever that meant.
It means murder.
Witch. Yeah. Needless to say, he went to prison, I'm assuming.
When you have your first body,
you get a painting!
Yeah. Yours gets painted.
Oh, that's terrible. But they also were, like, I'm so happy I'm not in his family, because they also, like, beat him.
Yeah.
When he let Hannah, was it because he let Hannah go? What was that? He did something that they didn't approve of.
Wasn't he trying to give Hannah more time? Like, he was trying to find out about Veronica.
Well, and so he was trying to get more time to get his drug perfected, so he could save her.
Save Hannah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eye roll. Yeah, so I think that, he screwed up somewhere along there. Oh, yeah. Maybe it was Veronica when he didn't get her.
It was when he ran them off the road and Gemma was in the car.
Gemma, the human.
Because the hunters aren't supposed to hurt humans.
Even though they're all humans. Let's just say that,
they aren't supposed to hurt non-magical humans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, they beat him. That was terrible, too. So I'm really glad I'm not a witch hunter family. Just gonna say that.
Yeah.
If you, unrelated but sort of, could be any elemental. Okay.
Well, each elemental can do all of them.
In this world, yes. But in some worlds, it's only one. So I'm going to put you on the spot and ask you which element, if you could only do one, would you pick?
Water.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What's your astrology sign? Are you a water sign?
No, I'm an air sign.
Oh, interesting.
It doesn't make sense to me that Aquarius is an air sign.
I know, it should be water. Okay, well, let's just say water because of that. Yeah. No, I'm kidding. I would choose fire.
I would choose water or fire. I've watched too many episodes of Avatar: Last Airbender to not pick one of those.
I would definitely choose fire, but I'm also a fire sign. So I don't know why I thought that should be related. It's not. Okay, that was fun. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I was just curious. Would you prefer to be a blood witch, an elemental, or a caster?
Elemental or caster? I think the caster witches are kind of cool, even though we don't know much about them yet. Mm-hmm. But it seems like the most bookish kind of magic.
Oh, definitely. I think the most bookish, since they do all the spells and potions.
I want to know more about their grimoires.
Oh, their Book of Shadows and that?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Because those sound cool.
Well, and it was interesting that they just had to write down into their own Book of Shadows the spell, and then they would get to be able to do it.
Well, it sounds like they have to sit with it and work through the writing it down. So I was like, that makes sense.
Yeah, I liked that they had to do the book work first to do the actual work. And I kind of thought it was interesting that they get taught things. You know, I liked how they trained them. And then at 18, you can do more things. Mm-hmm. What did you think about the binding spells as punishments, though?
I think they're grounded, but, like, magically.
I think that would be really tough. Because you'd feel like less of yourself.
Yeah.
So that was interesting. And I did feel for Veronica. The one moment I felt for Veronica was when she probably got the binding tattoo. Mm-hmm. I kind of didn't like Veronica otherwise. She was not very great to Hannah.
No. And it's just like she keeps showing up, and there's parts where we do feel bad for her, but also it's just like.
And initially, before we got to her house, when she was texting and calling Hannah on her date, mm-hmm. I was like, is this going to be fake? Is she going to get there?
Yeah. I was like, are you just trying to sabotage your date?
I wouldn't put it
past her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. She was kind of like manipulative that way, like you said.
Yeah. Because she's always like, oh, I want us to be forever. I want us to do this. And I'm like, you don't get to say that to someone after you've hurt them. Like...
Yeah, and like never says sorry.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I felt like their relationship, they just felt like they needed to be together because they've known each other for so long, and it seemed like maybe other people thought they would be together forever.
Is Veronica a 4?
She probably is. That's really funny, going into the Enneagram. But I kind of felt like they just put a lot of pressure on themselves to be forever. You're in high school.
They're 17. Right. Veronica's 18.
And it was like their first dating and first love. Like, there's lots more to come. So anyway, that was that tirade. What else do you want to talk about?
What do I want to talk about? Oh, it was on the training. I thought the training was kind of odd because it seemed very... not regular, because it seemed like so Hannah's grandmother's the leader of the coven, so it seemed like her grandmother could just push training, like you misbehaved, you don't get training this month or whatever. And I'm like, isn't this kind of not safe having all these untrained witches running around?
Well, they just threw binding rings on them.
Yeah, but okay.
But yeah, I thought that was a weird punishment. I know that the point of it was you're not treating your magical abilities with the respect it deserves. Mm-hmm. Therefore, you need to show me you can do that. But this was a very different time because of the hunter and all that.
And it's interesting that, like, a lot of books where characters are, like, learning their magic, you have a magic school that they go to. And there wasn't anything really like that. They had, like, community gatherings and...
Yeah. It felt more tutorial style,
or, like, homeschooling.
Yeah, definitely homeschooling, yeah. Mm-hmm. But I really liked the coven, and I liked that there were, like, 12 families. I don't know. That was fun. I don't know why. I just liked that there were lots of families. And I'm curious, like, how many others nationwide are there?
And they say for every 10 elementals, there's 6 or 7 casters, and then, like, 1 or 2 or 3 blood witches.
They did. But how many does that mean in total?
I don't know.
And why don't they have yearly gatherings where they all
they
come
have
together.
Yearly conferences.
Right? That's really what I think, like a trade show. And in this aisle, you'll see that you can try out these new techniques. Come on, share the love. Evidently, they don't do that. But they do have a council that oversees it all, I guess.
I want to learn more about the council.
I think the council is shady.
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah.
That's just my tidbit on that.
Because, the council's also out here, killing witch hunters and, hunting them down. Which is, cool. We don't like them anyway. But, how...
Yeah, they're doing it and not telling anyone.
Yeah, militarize is not the right word. But how... is there, spies for the council?
And how do you become an agent that goes out and does this? How did the detective do that? Is there a schooling for that? And how many do they take per witches? Sorry. Evidently, I really wanted to know more about the other groupings of witches.
Yeah, you want to learn more about the witches' world and how they work within their own world,
right? Not just in Salem.
Yeah.
And why are they being so mean to the blood witches if the blood witches aren't so bad?
Because they're a minority, and that's what happens.
Yeah, that was ridiculousness. Yep. So that was interesting.
Yeah.
So, how would you rate this overall?
I gave it 3.5. 4. It depends on it always depends on what mood I'm in. How I finish when I finish a book, I'll feel one way and then I'll think about it for a little while and I'm like, oh, well, maybe I'll rate it differently. It's not consistent. It's very arbitrary. But I really did like it.
I think I gave it a 4. Yeah. I liked it a lot. Again, I needed a nice lighter read, so that was perfectly timed. I'm super excited for the second, so that's always a good sign.
Mm-hmm.
I think I would really recommend this one. This would definitely be a staff pick for me. Whatever that's worth. Any parting thought? Oh, do you want to talk about Cal or anything? I mean, he was great. I liked him. I thought it was weird they kept just alluding to the assistant.
We don't see much of Cal in this book. We see him a little bit, but I wonder if he'll be more in the next book, because we had a lot of other characters that got screen or page time.
Yeah.
So
yeah, he works with Hannah at the Cauldron, and he was also our witch. Well, no, he's not a witch. He's what are they? Just agents?
He's Archer's assistant, so he's
an agent assistant.
Yeah.
Who helps get the witch hunters.
They're the agent. There's a council agent and his assistant in town. And
see, I don't know why I kept thinking that was so weird. They just kept saying his assistant. Did you find that weird?
I now that you say it a little bit, because I was like, oh, there's just someone else helping, but it wasn't
I just thought it was weird they kept keeping that off to the side.
And he's a college student, so he's younger, so I guess that's why he's assistant and not a full-fledged agent.
I think that's true too. Oh, do you think he's going to school to become an agent? Maybe he's an agent in
Isn't
training.
he studying computer programming?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So maybe I don't know.
Are we gonna have a hacker witch?
I'm thinking that would be cool. Could be kind of fun. Is he a witch? Yeah, he has to be a witch.
Yeah, he's a caster.
Is he a caster as well?
Because he was helping with the potion.
Oh right, duh. That was the only reason that got finished, was because he finished the potion. So I wonder if only casters can be agents. Oh, I do need more information. I'm going to have to go read the second one. I liked Cal. I just thought it was weird that they kept referring to him as the assistant and never just said, assistant. It's this guy. And maybe that was a red herring thing, because you want to maybe think it's Cal, but I never thought it was
also,
Cal.
he's kind of undercover.
Yeah.
So
they didn't want to give up his cover?
Yeah.
Okay. I guess I could see that. Did you think it was weird that both the agents, one was working there, one was dating the Cauldron owner?
Yeah.
It was kind of Salem is a small town, evidently.
Apparently. I don't know if that's actually true.
I don't know if that's true either. All right, so we're good.
Do you want to talk about what we're reading next week?
I think we should.
You're closer to the show.
I know, I realized we didn't pull our book. So next week, it's purple too. Man, 3rd purple book in a row.
Oh, yeah, and Bone Witch is right next to you, too.
Yeah, I know.
One up.
Thank you.
Level. Yeah.
I'm not sure why you want me to show that one, but
I don't know, but they're all
purple. So next week we're going to read Death Prefer Blondes by Caleb Roerig. I will double check on the pronunciation on his last name.
We'll have it down by next week.
Yeah. So this one I think will also be a little fun and light.
It has a heist.
It's a heist.
Yes.
With drag queens. We're super excited.
We haven't read a heist novel in a while, so we're excited.
Yeah. Aren't they like cat burglar thieves as well?
I don't know. Oh. I mean, they're judging from the cover, maybe.
I think they might be. Anyway, this should be exciting.
Yeah.
Right?
It'll be fun.
So tune in next week for this. And of course, if you want to read ahead and avoid our very, very big spoilers, you are welcome to call us at Mostly Books, or you can also order it on our website, mostlybooksaz.com. Mm-hmm. And then we won't spoil it. You'll know exactly what we're referencing.
Yeah.
All right. I guess until next week.
Yeah.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.